Welcome to Better Daily Life, where we are moving forward 1% better every single day. Download the app and supercharge your journey at betterdaily.life. Now it's time to ditch facts and get facts with your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Happy Wednesday. It is Wild Wednesday, and on Wild Wednesday, we shout out to our community and celebrate each other's wins. And I also generally link you to some, who knows, wild episode. It could be a Bible study. It could be a past episode of Defining Dadbot. It could be an interview. And so I'm excited to connect you to that today. So before I get there, I do have, well, I guess we could call it a teaser rather than an announcement. I have a teaser. Some major changes are going to be coming to the podcast very shortly. So here in the Better Daily community, you are watching me live if you have a premium account with us, which means that you can hop into this live, you can make comments, you get the video version of the whole thing, right? And then what we do with this video content is we actually turn it into a sound file, and we publish that probably 8 to 10 weeks following the actual episode. And so then it goes out into public in podcast form, right? We're making a major change to how our podcasts are published very soon, and I'll make an announcement about that in the coming weeks, probably just in time for the new year, which would be excellent. But nothing's going to change about what we do here in our live group. You're still going to hang out with me live. We might actually have a few guests join us in the near future. And also, well, like we have been doing, this is a dialogue. When I started this, I was like, what would it look like to do a daily live? And I've learned a lot since then, but many of the best things that have been spoken here in the Better Daily community through this episodic podcast platform is driven by great questions from people in our community. And so when Scott wants to know how to regulate his carbohydrates around great workouts, or when Leslie wants to know whether or not zinc is the right supplement for her to be taking right now, or whether or not some of you should be running or walking, those are awesome questions, and they really drive the content here. So keep asking on your betterment journey, because that's what happens in the betterment journey. You attempt to get better at something, you attempt to make some progress, and then you run up against something you don't know. And that's a wonderful thing, because you can either be friends with what you know, which is a very prideful thing. You can either be like, I know all this stuff, and look at me, and I know everything I need to know, and nobody can teach me anything. That was me when I was 8, and my mother was a wonderful mother and humbled me. Oh, you learned everything you need to know, have you, Alex? So you can either be friends with what you know, or you can make friends with what you don't know. And making friends with what you don't know is very humbling, but the humbling aspect of making friends with what you don't know means that when you run up against something and you are unsuccessful, then you can say, maybe I need to learn something from this. And that's really cool, because then you can learn something, and maybe you can blow past that barrier and continue on your progressive improvement. That's part of the betterment journey, and I appreciate being on that journey with you guys, and I appreciate that you make this platform a part of that you'll ask questions when you butt up against something in your betterment journey. Good morning, Janet. Good to see you this morning. Good morning, Robin. Good to see you this morning. Glad you were able to get on. So this morning I want to do some shout outs, and then I am going to share with you an episode that I recorded a couple years ago about a very important problem I want to talk to you about. So first, some shout outs to the hashtag My1% group. So if you're new to the Better Daily community, I want you to know that you can go to the upper right hand area of the app, and you can search for things. You click the little magnifying glass, and you can search for members, and you can search for articles, and you can also search for hashtags. And hashtags are, that sounds really complicated. It's not. It's a number sign with a word beside it, and that lets us tag things that perhaps we want to go refer back to, and lets us be a part of things. This is how we run our challenges, right? So if you search the hashtag, that's the little number sign, hashtag faithful40, what you will see is all of the posts that have been made for the Faithful 40 challenge. And there are hundreds of them, right? There are hundreds of things that we've posted for the Faithful 40 challenge. There are food journals, some of them great, some of them not so great. There are our mindsets, some of them extremely inspiring, and some of them will drag you down to the abyss and make you look there for a while. And there are exercise programs, and there are encouraging words and stuff. And so that's Faithful 40. There is another hashtag that is relatively new. It's started cropping up in the group a few months ago, and we're really working on making this a thing that is simple but easy to follow as well. And that's the my 1%. So if you search hashtag my one, the number 1%, then what you'll find is there are many members of our community who, mind, body, and spirit, are working on something that they're trying to get better at, right? So Jared, huge shout out to Jared. Thanks for posting, brother. He is in a very, very busy and difficult season in life. And I don't want to share a lot of his personal stuff. I'll just say he's got a construction project going on at home. He's got teenagers in the household. He's got a job that's asking him to travel all over the place. But Jared said his 1% right now is maintaining consistency in his workout program and even in his nutrition practice while all this is going on. And that's so important. High five, man, because what much of the world thinks about nutrition and exercise is that you should, diet to get ready for some sort of vacation event or whatever. And so you're going to hit your nutrition really hard and watch yourself and not eat sweets and stuff. And maybe you're going to exercise really hard for a short period. And then, okay, I'm ready and I can go do my event, or I can look good on my vacation, or I can take that picture. And then, life's really busy, so I'm not going to keep doing that. It's like an episodic thing. It's like sometimes I'm good with my health and fitness, and sometimes I just don't worry about it at all. And Darren's saying, no. My 1% is to maintain consistency in this time. And that's a big deal for me personally. And I don't want to speak for Jared. I have gotten to speak to Jared, and so I imagine he feels similarly. For me, my nutrition and my exercise practice, the consistency of that is why my life doesn't crumble in a burning pile of rubble when things get busy and difficult. In fact, personally, I double down on my consistency when life gets busy and difficult. And the reason is because when life gets busy and difficult, I need to maintain my mental focus. I need to maintain my sanity. I need to maintain my generally enthusiastic demeanor. I need to maintain my physical lack of pain, in my body. If I don't exercise right, if I eat like garbage, I'm going to hurt. And I'm not going to be able to deal with the busyness of life very well. And so in those busy seasons, I have to double down on my consistency. So high five, man. Thank you for sharing that 1%. And Janet shared her 1%. She said that I think she's 91 runs into the Run 100, and I think you're 50-something lifts into the Lift 100. So congratulations, Janet, for continuing that throughout the year. I like to joke that when I do the Lift 100 and the Run 100, I can find out if I'm a lifter who runs or a runner who lifts. And Janet, you are definitely a runner who lifts. the 90 runs to 50 lifts. You are a runner who lifts. Now, I have, in my hypertrophy practice recently, I've really gone ahead on the lifting side of things. So I'm at like 97 lifts, I think, and I think I'm at 90 runs. So I'm definitely a lifter who runs at this point. So way to go. Keep up that good work, Janet. Thank you for sharing your 1% with us. And I want to shout out to Elise as well. She has, since the Faithful 40 Challenge, maintained posting every day, which is great. I mean, honestly, after the Faithful 40 Challenge, I need a break, man. Mindset, nutrition, and exercise. I'm like, okay, I practice these things, but I don't always share them. And it's a lot of energy to share them. And I just wanted to shout out to Elise for maintaining that practice of improving your nutrition, being aware of your mindset, and for keeping us posted on your exercise progress. She also just joined a gym. So That's so cool. That's so cool. I'm so excited for you. I know that the social workout atmosphere is overwhelming and frustrating sometimes, but it sounds like you found a place that you're looking forward to exercising in. So keep up the good work, Elise. And I do want to say, this isn't necessarily a shout out in a win or whatever, but I'm going to tag Dean Williams Clark. I miss you, man. Where are you at? Been praying for you and your mom, and I hope all is well with you, that you got over being sick and that you're getting to get back into your workout practice and stuff. What's up, Coach Jess? Good to see you this morning. She said, way to go, Elise. And I can't wait to shout out to you. She gets to start lifting again soon after her surgery. So I'm looking forward to seeing that progress as well. So the problem I wanted to share with you guys, and the episode that I wanted to share with you guys on Wild Wednesday, it came up again in a conversation I had last week through Thanksgiving. And here's the problem. You can think of it as like a Tower of Babel problem. So in Genesis, there's the story of the Tower of Babel. It's a very, very short story. It's not long at all. And it's a story about how a group of people are trying to build a tower all the way up to God, right? And it doesn't go well for them. It turns out that God doesn't like it when we take all of our abilities into our own hands and we pridefully pursue being God-like without God. And so what happens to their tower is it crumbles and they all end up speaking different languages and parting ways. And so if you read the story, it sounds kind of like a kid's story. And, the obvious question is, well, isn't it kind of mean to knock people's towers down? I tell this story to kids and I'm always telling them, hey, if your friend's building a tower, please don't knock that down. So it makes God look kind of like a angry toddler knocking things down and stuff. But this Tower of Babel problem is actually more complicated than that. Okay. It's not like God's the angry toddler and doesn't want you to build your tower. It's actually a different problem. The problem is this: if you build your tower wrongly, if you achieve better for the wrong reasons in an unsustainable way, what happens is the tower falls down inevitably. And this is what's called the cycle of history. And I want to share this episode with you because I kind of dig into this from a father's perspective. But the cycle of history goes something like this. Hard times make good men. Good men make good times. Good times make weak men, and weak men make hard times. So it's a cycle. And I've heard it said hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. It sounds like an inevitable problem. And so I tackle that. Like, do we have to do that? Is that the way things have to be? And if you're a father today or a mother today, or maybe even a grandparent, you can see this, right? You even hear it in common parlance all the time. Was it Bill Cosby who joked, like, when my father was a child, he had to walk uphill both ways to school in 3 feet of snow. And one time he killed a bear with his loose leaf notebook. That, the trope is, when I was your age, things were much harder, and all the problems you have today are pretty cushy problems. Right? And there's some truth to that, actually. We've never seen an increase in prosperity like we've seen in the last 100 years. We've never seen that, right? It's not normal. It's normal today, but it was not normal for there to be multiple TVs in a household. It was not normal for everybody to own a dishwashing machine. It was not normal for households to have one running car. Like, it wasn't normal. And today it's relatively normal. And a lot of people take that for granted, but it's a real Tower of Babel problem, because here's the deal. I might know the difficulties I've gone through in my life to be where I am today, but my children growing up in the household I am today, they don't know those difficulties. And this is actually a real problem in parenting, because what are you supposed to do? Like, throw them in the woods and let them figure it out? Because then that makes you a monster, right? So to recreate the difficulties maybe that you went through, well, that might make you a tyrant and a monster. So how do you solve this problem, right? And this is a real problem in history. This is something that I'm not going to recreate the entire episode here, but the philosophers in the Middle East especially noticed this problem. They called it the problem of the nomads and the city dwellers. That was the problem. But I was thinking about this over Thanksgiving, because I kind of alluded to it on Mindset Monday. We talk all the time about how important it is to be grateful. And I, even myself, have championed the importance of gratitude especially when it comes to being encouraging and experiencing positive emotion and stuff. You can keep a gratitude journal every night. You can write 3 very specific things down that you're grateful for, and it will improve your mood. It might even bolster your immune system, according to the research. But gratitude is not just about enjoying the goodness around you. It's not just about recognizing your blessings. It's not just about seeing things for the goodness that they are and the gifts that you don't deserve. There's also another element of gratitude, and that is, I say, being a good steward of these things. That's biblical language, but you could also say making the most of them. There's an element of gratitude that says, hey, recognize what you have, don't take it for granted, and make the most of that thing. And that's the cycle of history. Imagine if in building the Tower of Babel, instead of, let's see how high we could build this thing because we're so great. Imagine if the architects instead were like, there's a lot of people in our city who are homeless, and that's not good. It's not good to be exposed to the elements. It's not good to not have a place to sleep. It's not good. So let's build a home for them. Let's see if we can build the biggest, baddest, coolest tower that would house our homeless population so that we don't have to do that homeless thing anymore. We have all these materials laying around. We have all this time on our hands. We're pretty good architects. Like, maybe we can tackle a problem in our society that matters and that we could make a difference. There's a lot of humility in that, because if you're trying to tackle a homeless problem, it's a lot bigger than just putting a roof over somebody's head. But that would be a wonderful use of the skills, gifts, and abilities, the extra time, the extra materials that God handed these people to do. But instead, they're like, I wonder if we could build a tower and be like gods. Maybe we can reach to heaven. Do you see the difference there? And the same thing is something that's happening in my household, right? Because in my household, my children are quite a bit better off than I was as a kid. And I say better off, I mean, they have a dad in the home. That's a big deal. They have great breakfast every morning. I'm not saying I starved as a child. My mom made sure that we were taking care of the best she could. But, Christmas for them is like, what do I want for Christmas? And when I was a kid, I was like, I don't think I'm getting any gifts for Christmas. And I don't want to hear poor, pitiful me. The point is, they have what materials they need, that if they decided, I'm going to build a tower to heaven, or I'm going to accumulate as much crap as I possibly can and enjoy it myself, they could. And the question is, how do we, as good stewards and as the older generation, how do we compose ourselves so that that's not the case? That we don't raise a generation of weak men who make hard times. That we don't become so accustomed to the way things are now that the tower crumbles around us because the next generation doesn't know any better. I hope this episode is enjoyable to you. I also hope that it makes you think about the way that you speak and the way that you comport yourself and the way that you challenge the people who perhaps have had it a lot better, don't know what they have, and aren't making the best use of it. So, guys, this has been Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Thank you so much for joining me for Wild Wednesday. Keep up the good work on the My 1% side of things. And if you have somebody you want to shout out to, watch for that Wild Wednesday post and tag them in it. Until next time, guys, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for your 1% better. Be you, just better, in mind, body, and spirit. Go to betterdaily.life, download our app, and check out our 5-star coaching resources. We all have a cross to carry. It's lighter when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.life today.